Guys, we're going to be talking about autism. We're going to get started, you guys. We're doing something kind of weird and going very early this morning. Usually I go live from noon Eastern time for a couple hours, but I got some meetings today, so I wanted to go through a little bit earlier to make sure that I don't miss my live today. It's really important to me that I go live every day. So please come on in. We are going to have some conversations about autism. If you have autism, if you have a child with autism, you're in the right place. We usually get a couple hundred people in here. So go ahead and be coming in. Ask us some questions right now, and I can go ahead and get started. Why am I the one talking about autism? Well, let me break it down for you. Good morning, Emily. How are you doing? It's good to see you. We are a little bit about myself. So I am a father of 2 children with autism. And hey, Melissa, good to see you. And 2 children who are neurotypical. And I also am a board certified behavior analyst. So I've worked with kids with autism for over a decade. And I have a master's degree in autism studies, and I'm currently the CEO of a company that provides services to people with autism. So I go live every day, you guys. I go live every day. If you're in here, maybe you already know that, but please be tapping on that screen. These first few minutes determine how many people we get in our lives. So please go ahead and be tapping on that screen, be commenting. Good morning, Wagner. Good to see you. Hold on just 1 minute while I open up some other things. Last night was kind of fun. If you guys missed last night's live, it was just kind of a goofy night last night. Some mornings I've done some difficult conversations of controversial topics. Last night, though, upon request of my followers, we had a night where everyone was trying to convince me of all of their conspiracy theories. So that was fun. Were any of you guys there last night? That was wild. I didn't know so many of you guys believed conspiracy theories, but I lost every single one of those. No one believed me. So that was kind of fun. Wagner, thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. I appreciate the lives as well. Like, you guys really are part of my village. Oh, no worries, Melissa. No worries. Also, we kept using the kind of words that TikTok doesn't seem to like. And so we definitely got there weren't very many. It wasn't a very active live, I should say. It was awesome, though. I loved it. We're going to do more stuff like that for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I am just doing a few things over on my end before I fully jump in here. Be tapping on that screen, be commenting, put in the questions, and we are going to get there. All right. You guys, let's look at some questions that we got coming in. Mrs. Schaff asks, what are your thoughts on heavy metal detox? Okay, I have some thoughts here. I don't believe that autism is caused by heavy metals. And I know that's controversial, but there have been no randomized clinical trials that have showed effective results of detox procedures from heavy metals for autism. Not only that, but some of these detox protocols are harmful. One of the worst is called chelation therapy. Have you guys heard of chelation therapy before? Chelation therapy is it's dangerous, you guys. Chelation therapy is where someone believes that autism is caused by toxins in the brain, and so and in the body, and so they take medicine that actually strips your body of the heavy metals. And you've had children wind up in the hospital due to anemia, lack of iron. I mean, your body needs some of these heavy metals, and I mean, we've even had kids who passed away due to chelation therapy. Here's the hard thing: is that 1 in 15 children with autism have go through chelation therapy because their parent believes that it's heavy metals. 1 in 15. And so even if all you're doing is some little supplements, the idea of heavy metals causing it leads people, you push that theory, it leads people to believing that they need some of these harmful therapies. So I recommend that we don't entertain that one just because the research isn't there yet. There's theory behind it, and when people explain it, it sounds smart because they'll explain how it works. What they won't share is randomized clinical trials explaining that it's effective. Tia says, hi, I'm in burnout at the moment. Any advice on what might help me get out of it? Tia, are you an autism parent? Are you an autism parent? Also, I have a small child. Do you have autism, or does your child have autism? What's your situation, Tia? What's burning you out? Oh, Melissa, remind me, Melissa, you're going to have to remind me what you asked about your child. I'd love an update as well. But remind me a little bit about what you asked. How do I explain to my 9-year-old son about an upcoming assessment for ADHD and autism? That's a hard one. That is hard. When you're not sure what his diagnosis is, I don't know that I would be 100% like tell them what they're evaluating for. You could absolutely, when a child has a diagnosis, I recommend that we be open about it. It doesn't help anybody to save them from that label, but it does help them know what support they need. Destiny, hello, good to see you. Big day. Well, I got meetings starting at 9. It's all day. And so I wanted to spend at least an hour and a half on here talking to you guys. I didn't want to miss my live today. So I woke up and I was like, you know what? I got to go live. With the daycare, Melissa. Yeah. How's that going? Any update there? Yeah, this is what I'm struggling with is it's pre-diagnosis. So it feels a big discussion to have, like before we know 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, El. Let me tell you what I would do if it was my own kid. This is not coming from any level of expertise. Even though I do have expertise, that's not my area of expertise. Let me tell you what I would do though as a dad is I would just be honest and say, hey, look, we're going to see and learn how your brain works. And we're really excited. The brain is so interesting. And we're going to go talk to a doctor, and they're going to tell us a lot of cool things about your brain and how it works. And then during the assessment, they'll just have those conversations or they'll just do the assessment, the evaluation. And then after the diagnosis, you can explain it in a very kind way of like, hey, you know how if they have autism, a good way is like, hey, look, you know how your brain feels like everything is so loud at the same time that you hear people chewing and it bothers you? Most other brains don't hear that. Your brain is special. It's really cool. You have what's called autism. And I would absolutely be open about it and be kind about it and let him know how much you love him. And it's not something that we need to shelter or hide from. Hello, thank you always for your service. You are doing amazing. Light, thank you. That means the world. Good morning, Lexi. You guys, I'm going crazy this morning. I'm going early. I know usually I go live at noon Eastern time, but here we are at 9 a.m. Eastern time, hopping on these lives and getting an early start on talking about autism. Let's go ahead and check in with everybody. Who do we have in the chat here? Put 1 in the chat if you're an autism parent. I want to know what autism parents we have here. Put 2 in the chat if you have autism or think you have autism. Put 3 in the chat if you are here to just learn. All are welcome. All are welcome here. Even if you're just a professional or something, put 3. But 1 is if you're a parent. 2 is you have autism. 3, you're just here to learn. Let's go ahead and see who we have here. Awesome. You guys, y'all missed a wonderful night last night. We came on here and a few of our moderators, some of my friends here, we had a conversation about conspiracy theories. And I was worried it was going to mess up my entire algorithm because, man, we got We got into some weird stuff. We were party animals. Yeah, Destiny. We absolutely were. I saw a whole new side of the moderators here. Destiny says, I was up until 10:30. You were wild. You were up in the middle of the night, Destiny. What were you doing? Guys, we got a good mix of people here. If you're just coming in, let me introduce myself. My name is Kylan. I live in Utah, and I'm an autism dad. I have 4 children, 2 of which, my youngest 2, are diagnosed with autism. And they mean the world to me. I will move mountains for them. I have started businesses for them. I have advocated on the policy level for them. I will do anything for my kids, as will any parent that has a child with autism, as you know. I am also a board-certified behavior analyst. I've worked with kids with autism for the past 10 years, or 13 years, I should say. And I'm the CEO of a company that provides services to people with autism for the past few years. And so that is, where I'm at. I know the heading here is a little bit misleading. I am not diagnosed with autism. However, if you ask some people in the chat, they have diagnosed me. But we do not follow self-diagnoses here in this live. Destiny, you are hilarious. That's so funny. Kylan, let me finish my coffee and get my eye bookers out. Oh, man. Yeah, they think that maybe I have autism. It might be, I don't know. I don't think I have autism, but I'm open to it. Let's have some real conversations, though. Let's go ahead and learn, you guys. Jessica, youngest has severe autism, diagnosed before 2. Genetic tests have been done. No mutations, though. Jessica, okay. We have not necessarily found all genetic mutations associated with autism. We do know that up to 90% of autism is genetic, 80 to 90%. And the rest are environmental risk factors. But just because you do the gene study and they don't find one of those markers, doesn't mean that you don't have autism. It's polygenic, and we don't necessarily have all the genes that are associated with it. I do want to know, or I do want you guys to know, I know I'm missing a lot of conversations, a lot of comments. I will promise to you, though, that if you hop on to, I don't want to say the name of it because I tend to get punished on my lives for this, but to the tube in my bio, I will read every comment that's there. I'm live over there as well. So go ahead, and if you want to guarantee that I will read it, go ahead and put the question over there, and make sure you're subscribing over there. Okay, I did see a question, though, about my children. Are they verbal or nonverbal? You know what? It's hard to categorize all children into verbal or nonverbal. I don't feel like my kids don't fit into either of those. Some people say it's pre-verbal, but I will say that both of my children struggle with communication. I have a 3.5-year-old, and he is the best. He is the cutest, and he tries so hard to communicate. Usually it's in single word things. He can echo a lot of what you say. And then he knows a lot of, one-word things to say what he wants. And that has been huge progress over the past 6 months. And so he is learning a lot. He is getting there. He is amazing. Interestingly, my almost 2-year-old is pretty close to the same level communication-wise as my 3.5-year-old. She's doing great. She regressed really hard and, stopped responding to her name. And is heavy on the stimming. I mean, her favorite activity is spinning. I like to say she's my little princess. She doesn't spin, she twirls. She's always in a little dress, and she doesn't just spin to stim. She twirls, you guys, and she is beautiful. She is my princess, and I like my kids, you guys. Do you recommend homeschool? I'm not happy with the school. Okay, It's hard to say by default. Let me tell you just a quick thought about school, homeschool versus public school. Public school, if your child is getting the support that they need, public school is amazing. My child, because he scored in the bottom 1 percentile when they did the evaluations. He got the highest level of support that the IEP had to offer, that the district had to offer, which was a one-on-one classroom for preschool. He gets picked up every day and goes over to a one-on-one classroom. They're trained in ABA. And it's just like an ABA clinic, but it's his preschool that he gets picked up on a bus for. He goes for about 15 hours a week. And if you're getting support like that at the school, that, if your child has high support needs and he has a one-on-one and learning a lot, oh yeah, do it. If you're getting the support that you need. Now, if you're not, the problem is homeschool. Quite often, what I see, homeschool turns into not schooling. And if that's what it's going to be, don't do that. But you can incorporate ABA into that. They can't work on academics, though. But, if my child wasn't getting one-on-one and they weren't doing ABA, he would not be in school right now. He is young enough that he needs intensive ABA therapy, intensive early interventions. And, so I would be pulling him and doing, 30 to 40 hours a week of ABA. Okay. Let's see, at 3 years old, he goes to preschool. Yep, so in the United States. Oh, Jan, you're in Utah? Oh, where in Utah, Jan? Okay, yeah, I live down in Santaquin, Utah. Is that doxing myself? I don't know. But Heidi, yeah, 3 years old, and he goes to preschool. So the school district, or in the United States, school takes over from early intervention at the age of 3. And so if your child has an IEP and has autism, especially, they will start receiving services through the school district, which can include preschool paid for by public education and the IEP. Melissa says, my husband is out of town for a week and my 3-year-old is a hot mess without him. It's going to be rough. Oh, Melissa, I'm sorry. Look, it tells me a lot about you and your husband and your partnership. There's a lot of families that the mother wouldn't even, notice. It would almost be easier if the husband was on a trip for a few days. And so, yeah. How are you able to start this? Let's see. Start the live. Start the TikTok stuff, Heidi. I just started going live. You know what? My first couple days of going live, there were like 1 or 2 people at a time on here, and so, okay, no, the preschool. Look, Heidi, let me tell you. So the preschool, they will reach out to you, or you reach out to the district. If you're 3, is your child 3, Heidi? If your child's 3 or older, there needs to be a handoff meeting from early intervention to the school district. You can call the school district, though, and get things started. What do you think of ABA therapy? I have a fairly negative opinion. BJW, I'd love to hear your experience with it and your thoughts. I think that ABA has harmed people. However, I think that it has evolved, it has progressed, and from what I have seen, experienced with my own family and the research that I have read, it is the most beneficial therapy that insurance pays for and that exists currently. So let's see here. So let me tell you about the harm that I believe ABA therapy has done. I believe that there was an overfocus on masking. ABA therapy is applied behavior analysis. There used to be an overfocus on masking. I mean, when I started learning about this, I think the first course I took was in 2011 about ABA. And they definitely talked about like, oh yeah, if you have a kid who's hand flapping, like here's what you do. Here's what you do about hand flapping. That was like it was all about how do you turn your neurodivergent kid neurotypical. And I felt uncomfortable about it back then. And you have all these adults now that went through ABA therapy and they prioritize those targets. So here's my thought about ABA therapy. It was traumatic because it was effectively addressing the wrong behaviors. They were addressing masking. They were addressing compliance. Now, it doesn't mean that the science was bad. It meant that the target selection of what they were addressing was bad and harmful. And so that is my thoughts on it. If you're addressing the right behaviors, those that bring reinforcement to your child's life, that is where the power comes from. Kath says, did you become a BCBA before you had kids? Were you always interested in the field? Yes. I took my first course in behavior analysis when I was 18 years old, and it wasn't applied behavior analysis. It was the experimental analysis of behavior, which is connected. And in this class, we had a pigeon lab. And I had to go and take care of a little pigeon every day. I had to go feed it, and I had to take care of it. And we had to train the pigeon using principles of behavior. And so, yeah, I've been a BCBA for a long time. I've been in this field a long time. My kid got diagnosed with autism 2 years ago. And when I first got into the experimental analysis of behavior and ABA, I didn't know a thing about autism because it's the science of behavior. It doesn't just apply to autism. It applies to everything. Every animal, every human, the principles of behavior apply. And so, I got my pigeon. I could get my pigeon to, I'd change the color of a light and the pigeon would spin in a circle, and change it to another light and it would turn around the other way. And you could do some incredible things. And so that's what got me into it. What is autism? Oh, what a good question. Autism is the way that a brain functions. It is a spectrum of behaviors that can be diagnosed if it's impacting someone's life. Typically impacting communication, social, repetitive behaviors, and a bunch more. Let me read through the diagnostic criteria. This is a good thing to center ourselves on quite often. To reference back, what is autism? Okay, while I do this, something that helps us understand this, because if you think that your child might have autism, this is a good place for you to be. And so put in the chat, what were some of the first signs of autism you saw in your child? In the DSM-5, here are some, for my child, I'll just say this before I jump into the DSM, but for my child, wasn't responding to his name. Stimming. Not pointing or looking where we were pointing. So these are a lot of the earliest signs. Okay. So usually we have hold on. Hyperfixation, stimming, low eye contact, flapping hands. I never judged him, but his name, also inattentive and more sensory needs, no babbling, loud noises, hand flapping, so bad when they are aggressive. Yeah. Okay, guys. Persistent deficits in social communication and social interaction across multiple contexts. So what does this mean? These are things like an abnormal social approach. Sometimes they don't understand relationships or boundaries or how to share interests or relationships. Failure to initiate or respond to social interactions. Uh, some deficits in nonverbal communication, sometimes not understanding body language or using gestures, not using gestures. That's a big part of it. Restricted behaviors is a big one. So this can be like stereotypy or repetitive motor movements. So this is the things like hand flapping, lining up toys. Oh, you guys, tell me, you guys, do any of your children line up toys? What do they line up the most? Let me tell you what my son does. My son lines up toothbrushes or knives or utensils. Not like sharp knives, butter knives. He'll get into our utensil drawer and grab all the knives or the whatever's in there and line things up. Cars is a big one. My daughter got into our bathroom and pulled out all the tampons and was lining up all the tampons. So that was fun. I think it's anything that our kids can find, they line them up. And not all kids do this with autism. If your kid doesn't do this, that doesn't mean that there's not autism, but it is definitely a common thing that people do. Yeah. Okay, some other common things. Insistence on sameness, inflexible adherence to routines or ritualized patterns. And so extreme distress at small changes. Oh my gosh. Oh, stacking toys, tiny. Yes, stacking toys is the same kind of thing as lining them up. That can definitely be part of that. Let me ask you guys this, though. How do your children handle changes and transitions? One of the hardest things with my child is changing his clothes. And so the transition of having the clothes that he has on, taking them off, and putting on new clothes, that transition is really hard for him. And so we see this a lot with autism, is this, insistence on sameness, extreme distress at small changes, difficulty with transitions, rigid thinking patterns, greeting rituals, or I need to take the same route or eat the same food every day. Yeah, Kitty, almost like someone is hurting him physically. Yes. Good. Destiny, have you ever heard of the ABA company, Positive Reinforcement? No. That sounds like a pretty generic name. That is the most commonly used principle within ABA. I don't know anything about them. Mara says mine doesn't have a problem with those kind of transitions. Yeah. Every kid is different, but the transition things or insistence on sameness can definitely, be there. Highly restricted, fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus. Strong attachment to unusual objects. Excessively circumscribed or perseverated interests. Special interests, you guys. This is the fun question. What are your child's special interests? Okay, so I already shared my son loves toothbrushes. That's a big one of his. He also loves butterflies. He loves butterflies. And so there was a video, and I might post a video of this. But it's one of those boring videos on YouTube that they're just saying the name of the thing. And so they go through 100 different butterflies and say the name of them. He just goes through and imitates every word that they say, and it's cute. But I heard books. Books is such a good one, you guys. Trains, vehicles, rubber snakes, fascinating. Wheels, balloons, and stickers. TV and screen can create autism? Nope. No, screen time does not cause autism. That is definitely a misconception, and it's out there because, look, excessive screen time. What it can do, excessive screen time can absolutely delay a child, can cause social delays. But if you're looking at all these different things, screen time doesn't cause fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity. It doesn't cause the sensory input issues, the rigid thinking, the struggles with transitions. It can cause some social delays, but it doesn't cause autism. And so that's why I don't like the phrase virtual autism that people label the screen time kids. Not a fan of that. Heidi says, I look like a crazy lady collecting sticks and saving them for when he has a meltdown. Yes, yes. Oh, Carrie says, what are your thoughts on women being underdiagnosed due to high masking expectations of young girls? Yeah, and it's not even an opinion or a thought. I'll tell you the research. The research says that girls tend to mask autism symptoms earlier than boys. And so absolutely it is underdiagnosed in girls and has been for a long time, which means currently there are a lot of undiagnosed women who have autism. Okay, the other items here. So we talked about the special interest. That's a fun one, guys. I love the special interest part of autism. That is probably my favorite symptom of autism is the special interest, because it's like such a love for something, you know, like they truly love something, and you know it brings them so much joy. Like my kids from what is it called? My son loves books, and it brings me so much joy to watch him reading books. And we recorded our family reading books to him, and so we have like 30 different videos of books that we read, that it's hours of content that we put on repeat sometimes, and he just watches us read to him, and he goes and he finds the exact same book and he follows along while we read to him. And it's his favorite thing. It's his favorite thing. Oh, Melissa, took my vehicle obsessed boy to a monster truck show. It was amazing. Guys, there is not much else that can beat an autistic child, you embracing their special interest and really supporting it. I love it. I look like Psych from Chicago Med. I don't know what that is. Mar, I don't see your question there. I know the chat's kind of moving quick. All right, you guys. Buck, what is your background in genetics? Are you open to gaining knowledge of causation? Buck, I'm very open. I just need research articles. What I don't like is when people come to me and they say, you know what causes autism? Then they give this like really intensive theory without any research backing it up. And so I have all the references in my bio. Oh, very cool, Misa. Very cool. All right. Have heard different things about ABA therapy. Would it be beneficial to my almost 3.5-year-old? Yes, probably. Probably. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm biased. I am a board certified behavior analyst. I've been doing ABA therapy myself. But I will tell you that the moment my child was diagnosed, one of the first calls I made that very day was with a connection I had to someone who owned an ABA company, asking him to get my kid in. And they got him in right away. And I told him, I want as many hours as you can do, because the research is clear that 20 to 40 hours per week of intensive ABA therapy leads to the best outcomes and progress over the first couple of years. Especially if you're starting before the age of 3. If you're starting before the age of 4, that's great. And at any age, you can learn. Question, do you have autism yourself? No. Not that I know of. Some people on here have tried to diagnose me, but I have not been diagnosed with autism. I will tell you that the autism criteria changed in 2013. So people saying like, hey, autism, where were all the people with autism, back when I was a kid in the 90s or in the early 2000s? Well, autism, as it exists today, didn't exist. In 2013, they changed and they expanded the criteria to the full spectrum. Back in 2012, only the most profound cases were diagnosed. Yash says, I don't get why you're not reading my question. Guys, if you want to guarantee that I'll read your question, I can't get to everyone. There's a lot of questions on here. If you want to guarantee that I'll read it, hop on over to the tube. It's linked in my bio. I got to be careful what I say. And I guarantee I will read every question. Not a single question has come through on there. Usually it starts getting popping pretty quick. But I will read every question or comment. As absurd as it may sound, I will read every single one that pops over there. Is being emotionally attached to a fork or a spoon and not being able to eat without it autism? Oh, Ari, you're gonna be interested in this. So one of the diagnostic criteria for autism is fixated interests that are abnormal in intensity or focus, such as strong attachment to unusual objects. So that is like a very, very precise criteria of autism. That alone is not autism. But that does meet that criteria of autism. My son is 10. Is that too late to start ABA? No, it's not. Guys, my company, actually one of our clinics is for adults with autism. And if you look at it, the diagnosis didn't exist till 2013. ABA didn't start getting funded until even after that. And so all of these adults, these young adults especially, they never had intensive services. So we get adults in our clinic that have never had any form of communication. And through 30 hours a week of intensive therapy with these adults with profoundly impacted autism, I mean, we give them the ability to make their first words. And so, there is no age limit to who can benefit from ABA. There are providers who restrict what age they accept. There are insurances that do have age cutoffs. But you guys, it sounds like I talk about ABA a lot. I do. It is important, but it's not the only therapy, you guys. I work very well with the core therapies that I recommend for autism. So if you're looking at what therapy do I start, you got to look at ABA therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and if they're conversational, mental health therapy. Those 4 are really good options. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do all of them. I will say ABA therapy is the only one that's intensive, such as 30 to 40 hours per week. The other ones, the model is kind of like once or twice a week you go for 30 minutes to an hour, and they work with your child and they work with you so that you can work with your child. So, all right, we have some more. Oh, before I forget, a lot of questions about what is autism? Does my child have autism? I have linked in my bio the MChat. The MChat is what doctors screen before they say that you should get an evaluation. They refer you out or they do this pre-screener called the MChat, especially for toddlers. It's 23 questions, and it identifies if you have the high risk, moderate risk, or low risk. And so it's free. It's in my bio. You can. I just like to recommend that people do that if they're wondering if their child has autism. Okay, we have some more questions over on YouTube. Let's see. Jamie says, "Can you discipline an autistic child?" Okay. A lot of times when people say the word discipline, what they mean is spank. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's what you mean, Jamie, but I do want to emphasize something here that I believe that parenting children requires a degree of knowledge and intellect that you can have kind of this. And this is going to sound harsh, you guys. I don't mean to be judgmental here, but you kind of have this caveman approach to parenting sometimes where it's child is bad, must hit child. Child be good. And it's the most basic thing that if a parent doesn't like something a kid does, it's immediate, boom, punishment, boom, spanking. The problem with that, and this is with any child, not just with kids with autism, is that it doesn't teach them a new skill. And so more important than what punishment are you putting in place is what is your child trying to do? What is the function of their behavior? And what skill can I teach them to make it so they don't need to engage in that problem behavior? Now, that is much harder. That is a level of parenting that a lot of parents cannot get to. And so my recommendation is learn as much as you can about functions of behavior. You know, are they engaging in this behavior to get your attention? Are they trying to access something? Are they trying to escape something they don't like? Are they doing it just because it feels good? And then if you really want to reduce that behavior, what you need to do is make it so not that it's punished. Okay, what you need to do is make it so that they don't get reinforcement for the problem behavior, withholding reinforcement. For example, if your child is hitting you to get attention because they like it when you interact with them or yell at them, then you yelling at them to discipline them is not discipline. It's not going to work. It's going to reinforce that problem behavior. And so what you really need to look at is what is my child trying to get from the problem behavior? How do we make it so they're not reinforced? And how do I teach them the skill that's appropriate to replace that behavior? Jamie, not spanking. Yeah, I understand. I understand, Jamie. I know that there's people that think it, so I figured I'd address it anyway. Okay. What do you think over on YouTube? Grass Pass says, what do you think the best way to take away the stigma with autism? It starts with the parents, you guys. It starts with the parents. I see too many parents who teach their children that people with disabilities are less than them. That's harmful. I think with how common autism diagnosis is getting, there is becoming less and less stigma around it already, just by default of more and more people know someone with autism. And so that's a beautiful thing. I tell you what, you know who's going to change the world? You know who is changing the world? It's autism siblings. Some of the best employees that I have around 100 employees that work at the company that I run, and some of the best employees that I have became interested in working in this field because they have a sibling with autism they've helped their whole life. But siblings of autistic kids, they learn to love them, they learn to accept them, they don't judge them. They're just their sibling, they're just their brother, you know. And they're not scared when they hear that their friend has autism. No, they get excited about it. That's what I think. That's what I think is the special secret to curing the stigma of autism. It's autism siblings. I'll stand by that. What can you teach us about ARFID? Okay, so ARFID, I don't even remember what ARFID stands for, but it's restricted eating. I always have to look it up. Avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. Okay, so ARFID is a lot of our kids put food in the chat. If your child is a picky eater, put food in the chat. I want to know. Food in the chat. If your child is a picky eater, your autistic child. Look, a lot of kids, you know, there's a level of pickiness that is not very impactful. We can get through it. There's a level of pickiness that a lot of our kids have that is ARFID, which they really only have a few safe foods available to them. And what you're going to hear a lot is like, well, they don't make them different food. You just gotta cook one dinner and they have to eat what you make or they go to bed hungry. Tell me in the comments, how does that work with your child? If you say, hey, you got to eat what we make or you go to bed hungry, what are they going to do? What are they going to do, you guys? Tell me what happens. I hope you guys are reading the chat there. And for those on YouTube, let me read this. They stay hungry. My son throws up from not eating. It doesn't go well. They will starve. Guys, there are times that kids with autism, they have to have a G tube so that nutrition can be directly placed into their stomach because they refuse to eat because of their selective eating. And so how do you address ARFID? Well, it starts by making their safe foods safe. That is the very first step. Their safe foods are safe. They get it. I know you're worried about them not having enough nutrition because all they're eating is chicken nuggets and French fries, but their safe foods come first. You give them their safe foods. That is the first step. Second step is we slowly work on this. Now we're talking over the next 2 or 3 years, your child might expand to 5 or 6 more food items. Okay? We're not talking about rapid progress here. This is a real problem. It's a big deal. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find ABA, occupational therapy, or speech therapy that specializes in feeding therapy. And what they're going to work on in feeding therapy is slowly integrating more food items. How do we do this? Well, it's easy. You pick a food item you want them to start eating that you're going to be working on. Let's say that you select beans. I don't know. You're going to put beans on the table close to them. Why did I pick beans? I don't know. That's weird. Broccoli. We'll say broccoli. Broccoli is on the table. They don't have to touch it. You don't even ask them to put it on their plate. It's just around. Okay. Now, next, we're going to put just a little piece of broccoli on their plate, but they don't have to eat it. And you tell them in advance, hey, this is just going to be there. You don't have to do anything about it. It's not going to touch your other food. It's going to be right here. And then the next step is, they have to touch it. You just say, hey, look, you don't have to eat this. Just poke it. Just touch it one time. And then you have to hold it. And then you have to, smell it. And then the next day, maybe you're going to give it a kiss. And then this time, you're just going to touch your tongue on it. And you get what I'm saying? It starts with a very, very slow process. Maybe start with food that tastes good, though. Kirk Burr, that's a good point. And that's often what they do is, they don't go straight from like chicken nuggets to broccoli, right? They're going to go, okay, what is the next step from chicken nuggets that is possibly similar in texture, similar in taste? It doesn't have to be the healthiest food in the world, but we're just going to expand what their safe food is. So, yeah. All right, you guys. Some comments over on YouTube. Let's see. Swatikim, I have a medication-related question. Is it okay to ask here? You know what? You can. I can definitely answer generic medication questions, but not specific ones for your child. And I'm not a doctor. I might not have the answer, but go ahead and ask. And if I can't answer, I'll let you know. Have you ever dealt with pica? Absolutely. Absolutely. So pica is when people eat things other than food items. So, putting items in their mouth that they should not be eating that are not edible. Put pica in the chat if your child engages in pica, P-I-C-A. It is a behavior that many children with autism engage in. And a lot of that comes down to first doing a functional assessment. The vast majority of time, if someone is engaging in pica, the function of that behavior quite often is sensory. That item feels good in the mouth. And so you have to kind of work on replacing that with a functionally equivalent behavior. Brandy, do you believe autism parents sometimes allow them misbehaving so they don't have to deal with meltdowns? Brandy, I think autism parents are overwhelmed. I think that autism parents are dealing with more than many other humans are going through. I mean, they are going through so much. Imagine having 3 or 4 hours of sleep, having to pay attention to your child 24/7. Now, most kids, you get to go to the playground, your child gets to go and play, you get to go sit on your phone, right? Not autism parents. No, we have to be vigilant 24/7 because our child is going to run away. Our child is going to get themselves in a dangerous situation at an older age as well. And so the idea of, allowing a meltdown because they don't want to deal with it or giving in, yeah, that happens all the time. I do that. Absolutely, I do that. I pick my battles. I pick my battles all the time. Okay. Bianca says gut health heals the mind. Well, no, it doesn't. Gut health does not heal the mind. Gut health is important, but it's not related to autism. We're not saying that gut health heals autism symptoms. Okay. Now there is some data. I'll give people this. There is data to suggest that people with autism have more gut health issues. That is true. That is factual. Now, the cause of that, it's not clear whether, it's associated with the genetic mutations or if some of the behaviors around autism, like selective eating, lead to the gut health problems. But we do know that gut health is a problem. But the gut-brain axis theory that, your gut health is what is causing the autism, and you can reverse those symptoms through addressing gut health, that has been, never shown to be effective whatsoever in the research. Now, what I will say is if your child is constipated, they're going to have problem behaviors, especially if they can't communicate what they feel. And so absolutely, gut health is tied to behaviors that are linked to autism. But you don't need to go and get all the functional medicine, get all those, the OAT test and all these other tests done to determine what are all the things to get the gut health in the perfect order. Like, that is pretty extreme. You just need to consult with your pediatrician. If the pediatrician is concerned and refers you out to a GI doctor, you can do that. But really, you're just trying to, as far as making your child comfortable is what you're trying to do, and make sure that they're as healthy as possible, like any other kid. So, all right, you guys, we have some more questions over on YouTube. Swati says, I believe the Abilify that my son is on is making him have aggressive behaviors to the point where he says he wants to, and I don't want to read that out loud on my live, but to be aggressive. Just wanted to know if you have come across this happening in any other kids. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't want to speak on that one. I appreciate you for asking it, and it's one that I don't have expertise on, that I can't speak on. I do know that that medications impact children differently. Every kid is impacted differently. And so you need part of your care team is whoever's prescribing your child's medication, go and present them with this information. And the best thing you can do is take data, okay? Come ready with data on your child of, look, he's having, before we started this medicine, he was having this many meltdowns, or he was doing this. Now I've taken this data. He's having 3 outbursts per day. They last 15 minutes each, and present that to the doctor. Let them know. I read your references. What infections during pregnancy and what term? That's a good question, Caitlin. I need to read back up on that. I do know infections are connected to autism risks within pregnancy, but know that these environmental conditions, these risk factors, are only a small portion. We're talking 10 to 20% of the impact of autism is due to risk factors. And so I wish, Caitlin, I should know this, and this is a good prompt for me to go and read up more on that. Thank you for your question. What part of the autism journey are you on? What part of this journey are you on? Let me give you some options here. Let me give you a rundown of how we talk about autism. There's 5 parts that I discuss of the autism journey. There's 5 parts of the autism journey. And if you look, I'm not selling you guys stuff. I'm not here trying to give you a cure for autism. I'm more of this pragmatic, real, what are the basics you need to be worrying about so that you're not burning yourself out. And there's 5 parts of this. The very first one, and let me know, put the number in the chat as I'm reading this if this is one you need to work on. The very first one, number 1, the first part of the autism journey is you need a village. You can't do this alone. If you have a child with autism, you can't do this alone. And that's hard to hear. You can do a lot, but we're talking about a lifelong journey here. You need people supporting you, whether that's here and online and let us be your village. But do you have a village? Put 1 in the chat if this is something you are needing to work on right now. This is the first part of the autism journey. The second part of the autism journey is getting a diagnosis for your child. So put 2 in the chat if you are still trying to get a diagnosis for your child. Is Lexi, you're my village too. Lexi says that we're her village. Y'all are my village as well. If you are still trying to get a diagnosis for your child, put 2 in the chat. This is the second part of the journey, and it's its own part because the wait lists are way long. I mean, you can be told that you're on a wait list for a couple years, and so that's a big part of this journey. Put 2 in the chat if you are still trying to get a diagnosis. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of people in number 2. My recommendation for this one simple thing is, don't sit on just one wait list. You look at everywhere within a 5-hour radius of where you live, and you call every person who can diagnose autism within that radius and say, when can you get me in? I'm looking for someone that can get me in within the next month, 2 months. I'm not doing this waiting for a year thing. You don't need to go to where a pediatrician referred you. You can call other psychologists. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is building your care team. This is selecting which therapies your child should have and starting those therapies. Put 3 in the chat if you are working on this right now. Don't put 3 in the chat if you have this figured out. If you're all ready and you have all the therapies figured out that you know what your child needs, then don't put 3 in the chat. But put 3 in the chat if you currently are working on building your care team. So we're seeing some 3s. Here's the thing about therapies is I hear oftentimes people say your child has way too much therapy. 30 hours a week of ABA, like that's way too much. That's way too much time to be working. My kid doesn't think so. He cries every time it's time to go home. He loves it. He's having a blast. He's having a blast, you guys. Okay, the therapies again that I recommend, ABA therapy is a big one, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and people are asking about my YouTube. It is linked in my bio. Go ahead and go over there. So ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and if they're conversational, mental health therapy. That is, I'm not saying you have to do all of those, but those are the most evidence-based, supportive, insurance pays for therapies. Stop worrying about all those other things, you guys. If you're still on 3, you don't be trying to figure out all these secrets that your doctors don't want you to know about autism. That's not what you need to do. You need to find real experts that are therapists. They're not quick fixes. We're not trying to reverse autism. We're trying to support it with therapies. Okay. All right, you guys. So that is number 3. Number 4. Now, if you already have all the therapies and now what you're trying to do is learn everything you can about autism and advocate for your child, put 4 in the chat. This is when you're a little bit further into this, you've been on this path for a few months, you have your therapies all figured out, and now you are trying to learn all you can about autism. You are learning what are your rights for your IEPs. What are some of the causes of autism? What can I do to change policy about autism? This is part number 4. This is where it gets fun, it gets exciting. Things are stable because you have your village. Maybe you don't yet, and you're still working on that. But you have your therapies that your kids are getting. You have clarity. You know what the diagnosis is. And during the 30 hours a week your kid's getting ABA, you are learning about autism. You're fighting for autism. That's number 4. There we go. A lot of people here with number 4. I love that. And then number 5, if this is something that's been on your mind, again, these are not perfect steps. These are not like you do 1 first and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. Usually it's roughly that order, but you go back and forth. Tell me if there's anyone that step 5 is your priority. Step 5 is preparing for your child's future. These are things like applying for long-term disability supports. These are things like building a special needs trust. Opening an ABLE account that shelters your child's money in a legal way in a special needs bank account so it doesn't count against them for their Social Security qualifications. So that's number 5, you guys. So out of all of these, again, Number one, build your village. I want everyone to think, what is your number one priority right now? Now that you've heard all of it. Number one is build your village. Number two is get a diagnosis. Number three is therapies. I don't know why there's balloons. That was weird. Number four is three is build your care team. Number four is learn about autism and advocate. Five is plan for the future. Put the number in the chat. What part of this journey are you prioritizing right now? What part of this journey are you prioritizing right now? I want to know. Number one is build your village. Number two is get a diagnosis. Number three is build your care team. Number four is learn about autism and advocate. And number five is plan for your child's future. There we go. Guys, y'all are amazing. Here, knowing what you need to be working on right now and focus on gives you clarity, okay? You don't need to be there worrying about all the supplements and worrying about everything that people tell you and learning everything that you can that from unreliable sources. Like, you keep it basic, you guys, and you keep your sanity. So that's what I really promote here. For those of you just joining in, I haven't done an introduction here in a minute. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kylan. I live in Utah. I'm an autism dad. I have 2 kids with autism, and I do everything I can for my kids. I think one of my biggest focuses right now is number 4, is the part of the autism journey that I feel like I'm on, and part of that is advocating. I have a burning need and desire within me to advocate strongly for autism parents, and people with autism. I am a board-certified behavior analyst. I do ABA therapy. I'm not currently practicing. I'm a CEO right now, running a company that provides services for people with autism. I've worked with people with autism long before my own children had autism, or that I had children. And I love this community that comes onto these lives. If you look at these comments, this is the most positive live stream you're ever going to see. 1, we have the best moderators that come in here and filter out the nonsense. And 2, autism parents are the kindest people in the world. And so I go live every single day. We advocate. If it says follow right here, that means you're not yet following me. Go ahead and tap that button over on TikTok and make sure that you can find me next time I go live. I try to go live every day. I'm a little bit earlier today than I usually am. Usually I go at about noon Eastern time, but I mix it up sometimes. Sometimes it gets busy. But what questions do we have about autism? Let me go ahead and catch up on YouTube comments. My son got diagnosed with autism in January, but they didn't tell me what part of the spectrum he was on. They said he was too young to tell. Lely, I want you to know that that's probably for the best. Autism levels are kind of garbage. I use this analogy a lot, but would you ever buy a bathroom scale that every time you step on it, it says a different number? Like you could get off of it and get on, it says 150. You get down, you get back on, it says 180. You get down, you get back on, it says 120. No, you would never use that bathroom scale. That's what these levels are like. There's no reliability to the level designations of a diagnosis. There's not a standardized test to determine what level your child is. It is completely based on your evaluator's clinical judgment. And so it's also only a snapshot in time. It's not a prediction of your child's future potential. And so I really don't like identifying my child as, oh, my child is level 2 autistic. And he was diagnosed 2 years ago, like that. It doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much to me. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and read over here. Jamie Caitlin actually is in speech waitlist for OT ABA. Love it. Jamie says, I'm an RBT and provide 25 hours per week of ABA therapy. Jamie, thank you. The parents waited 3 years for me. Jamie, you get it. You understand. You're here. You're learning. You see it from the parents' perspective. They waited 3 years. Now imagine if they waited 3 years only for an RBT to come in and underperform. I mean, the stakes are high here for RBTs, you guys. Do a good job. Thank you, Jamie, for being here. Caitlin says, do you recommend getting post-diagnosis genetic testing? Yes. It is good. Now, be cautious. One of the best things about the genetic testing is that if you're participating in it, it helps identify more genes that are associated with autism. It's good for the field. But also, there are other genetic concerns, mutations, and issues that are due to, or that you can identify during those tests. Now, what I don't recommend that you do by default, you hear that autism is genetic, and then you also hear about the MTHFR gene mutation. Okay, now those two things, it sounds connected, but the research is very limited on that. I don't recommend that by default everyone goes out and does the MTHFR genetic testing. About 40% of the population, up to 50%, I believe, but 40% for sure of the population has a MTHFR gene variant. And so it's fine if you want to do that. I mean, it's a real thing, the MTHFR gene variation, and it can indicate that, you have some dietary needs, but it doesn't address autism symptoms. It's not correlated with autism. It's just, But the overall genetic testing that kind of identifies if you have any of those, 500 plus gene variants that are associated with autism, it's good. All right. Do you think obesity may cause autism? Lely asks. You know what? I have not heard any research on that. Now, what we do know is that I would not suspect that would be true of, like, if a baby or a toddler is obese, that causes autism. And I haven't read any research connecting obesity to autism. I do know that what we do know is it's 80 to 90% genetic, but then the 10 to 20% that is environmental risk factors all occur during pregnancy or at birth. All right. What other questions do we have? Oh, hey, not Huda. Glad that you finally caught my live. Glad you're here. All right. Have you heard of the telepathy tapes? If so, what are your thoughts? Oh my goodness. Okay. I definitely have thoughts on telepathy tapes. But you know what? Let me first tell you that, do you guys hear my autistic son in the background? There's some yelling going on. I don't know if you hear that. Let me know if you do. I'm curious. So telepathy tapes, guys, you're not going to want to hear my thoughts. You're not going to want to hear my thoughts on the telepathy tapes. Okay, so I think that the basis of the telepathy tapes is very harmful to kids with autism or people with autism. Here's the premise of the telepathy tapes, is that there are strategies that people use to try to help their kids communicate. Right? What the evidence-based strategies are, teaching your kid to talk or sign or use an AAC device. Now, there are some some strategies that are not evidence-based and can be harmful. And that includes things that are based off of facilitated communication. So facilitated communication keeps getting rebranded. This has been around for decades, okay? But facilitated communication keeps coming back around. And you might hear it as rapid prompting method. You might hear it as spelling therapy or spelling to communicate. And the premise here is, like, instead of having your child point at pictures of things to communicate or use an AAC device, your child, even though they can't communicate, is actually, like, extremely smart and knows how to spell words. And so what we're going to do is have a spelling board and prompt you to spell out the words that we're going to say. Now, what we find with that is One, there always has to be a facilitator, someone holding the wrist of the person. And this functions very similarly to a Ouija board, where it is kind of clear that the person is prompting where the person is typing. And so the question with telepathy tapes that they have not been able to prove is, when these people are communicating, who is the author of the words? Authorship is the problem here. And it has caused real harm to people because what it's doing is it's taking away the voice of the autistic person. Because what you're saying is, if you're using spelling to communicate, you say, "What do you want to do today?" And then the parent helps prompt them and says, "Go to the store." Then the parent's going to say, "Oh, good. You said you want to go to the store. Let's go to the store." But what you just did is you just took away that person's voice because you prompted that outcome. And I don't think parents realize that they're doing it. It's very much, if you want to say, subconscious. But it's been proven time and time again that this method of communication, that the facilitator is authoring the words. That has been demonstrated time and time again. All right, you guys, what other questions do we have? I could talk about that for hours. I'm going to save you my rant on that. I do have a video about it. You could probably look up, but yeah, that's my thought. When you talk about during pregnancy, what can cause? Okay, so when I talk about pregnancy and the risk factors, so again, it's mostly genetic, but there are some risk factors during pregnancy. The vast majority of this is outside of the control of the woman. And so some of the risk factors, parental age. So how old are the parents? Specifically, how old was the father? Was the father over the age of 40 at the time of conception? Other risk factors include things like infection in the mother during pregnancy, or pollutants, exposure to pollutants. This could be from vehicles. Also, like pesticides has been shown that there's a slight risk factor. Wildfire smoke and excessive exposure to wildfire smoke has been associated with it. Premature birth has been associated with autism. Now, all of these things are small components. You're going to say like, "Oh, I wasn't around any wildfire smoke, so that can't be true." Well, that's not how this works. It's just that it's been found that these are things that have been found to be correlated with autism and risk factors. It doesn't mean that all those things are applicable. All right, you guys, let's see here. Mine was genetic. I'm autistic. My dad suspected autistic. My son's autistic, high needs. Yes, not Tuda. Yeah, that, genetic, sometimes that does mean the parents have autism. But when I say it's genetic, I don't want parents to think that now suddenly that means that they have autism, because that's not necessarily how this works. It being genetic can just mean that there were gene mutations or that there were genes present that impacted this. It doesn't mean that you also have autism or that you need to find someone in your family who has autism. That's a misconception for sure. All right, you guys, let's see here. Okay. What do you think about PCIT? Danielle, I might have heard of that, but it's not ringing a bell to me. Let me look it up. PCIT. Parent-child interaction therapy is an evidence-based 12 to 20 session behavioral program for children aged 2 to 7 designed to reduce disruptive behaviors, tantrums, and improve compliance using live therapist coaching. It enhances the parent-child bond through 2 phases: child-directed interaction and nurturing, and parent-directed interaction for behavioral management. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like it's behavioral therapy. It sounds like there's research behind it. I'll do a deeper dive in this, and I want to look at the connection between this and ABA. It sounds very similar to how a lot of ABA is run, and it almost sounds like it can be a specific curriculum used within ABA. But I'll look into that. What are the best ways to help with stimming? So, Lely, I recommend you go and stim with them. If you have a child who stims, go and stim with them, you guys. Go have fun with them, unless they're hurting someone. If they're hitting themselves, if they're doing something that's hurting them, don't do that. We need to address it. If they're just flapping their hands, you go flap your hands with them. If they like to spin in circle, you go spin in the circle with them, seeing. And so that's my approach to addressing stimming, because the goal isn't to reduce it. The goal is to make sure your child feels safe and regulated. Teresa says, I have done PCIT. I don't recommend it. The second phase can be quite traumatic. Hey, thank you for sharing that, Teresa. I want to look into it before I speak on it. I'm curious. I'm curious on it. Does sign language help with non-speaking autistic individuals? Yes. Okay, so if your child is not yet speaking, a lot of parents are very hesitant to start doing any signing or using like a device to communicate, which is an AAC device. I would not be worried about this. So a lot of people are like, oh, my kid is going to talk. I don't want to settle with these other forms of communication. You are not settling. Think of it as a gateway to vocal communication. There is clear evidence that using these strategies like signing or communication boards or AAC devices will actually increase your child's ability to vocally communicate at some point. And so absolutely, if you are consulting with your care team and they recommend it, absolutely, like don't hesitate to do that because you're worried about settling on a non-vocal method of communication. Oh, Destiny, that's interesting. TRICARE won't cover Hudson's AAC until he's in speech for 6 months with little to no progress. That sucks. I hate that. Can a doctor misdiagnose a child if a parent lies about milestones? Maria, maybe, but the parent interview is a small portion. The largest portion of the autism evaluation is the actual interaction, the ADOS, where they are testing things. These things of like, okay, if you point, are they looking? Do they point? Can they play with toys how they're intended to be used? Do they engage in pretend play? All of those things that are, and they score it. And so it's not just like, parents can't just lie and get an autism diagnosis for their child. Or the cars. Yeah, Maria. So cars or ADOS are the two most common autism evaluations. What about hypersensitivity to all senses? Yes, that is a common sign of autism. Interestingly, though, it's not just hypersensitivity, but some kids have hyposensitivity. If your child under responds to sensory input or pain or anything like that, put yes in the chat. I want to know, does anyone have a child who under responds to some sensory input? My daughter is this way. We always thought she was just the calmest baby. She hardly cried. But now we're learning that was part of autism, that she is hypo-reactive to these sensory inputs. Okay, yes, a lot of people experience this. And so it's not just over-responding, it can be under-responding. It can go either way. You guys, I am going to go and get my kids off to school. It has been a pleasure being here this morning. I have loved it. I go live every single day. If you are new here, please make sure that you're following me here. Hold on. What do you think about homeschool kid with autism? Do you think help or harm the child? You know what? It depends on your needs. How supportive could the public school be? Are you in other therapies? So homeschooling, if you're really doing the homeschooling, coupling that with the therapies, it can be great. Make sure you're following me, you guys. Make sure you're following me so that you can find next time I go live. I go live every day. We talk about autism. This is a support group. We also have a Facebook group that you can join. Please join that. We have a Facebook group. We have awesome moderators. We have good interaction there. Join that group and be positive, be interactive. We also have a Discord chat if you prefer that, where we are active and communicating. So thank you guys for being here and have a wonderful day, you guys. Have a good day.